You're listening to the A to Z of Human Performance live show weekdays at 13:30 GMT with Chris Lissaman and resident expert Jonna Sercombe. Please enjoy responsibly. Well, Christopher.
Welcome to another show, Jonna.
I'm so excited. You know what? I had a little delivery this morning.
Oh, what was that?
You know, in those drugs movies where they have like bricks of dope smuggled in car wheel arches, or the money comes in a suitcase.
I'm worried about where this is going.
I got these, which is packets of books. So
Human Performance, there it is.
It is exactly like one of those movies. They're cling film wrapped so that the dogs can't sniff them out, you know?
That's brilliant. You had a read?
I've had a read, but also I'm going to confess there's not much to do in pandemic lockdown apart from watch dark movies at night. So, yeah, it's looking good, really good. I thought I might use my Leatherman, open a packet, and see how we're getting on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I know, because you've just tell us a little bit about the design, because you designed these, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a privilege to work on them as part of our design team, and they were great fun to put together. We had a bit more fun perhaps than we would in our previous books. There's some lovely sketched drawings in there. The color scheme, we've gone bright.
There we are,
very yellow.
Straight off the printer.
They smell
yellow,
good.
Looking beautiful. And it means I can confess I've also been working with a pre-print copy here in the studio for the whole time we're doing this. Chris, the colours are much more vibrant in the real print.
Oh, good.
It's looking fantastic.
That's great.
So yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to get some of these to Emma and Steve, but Amazon's got the Kindle pre-order, and there's going to be a Kindle Amazon version as well, right?
Yeah, there's going to be a print-on-demand version as well, so you'll be able to get that from Monday.
Brilliant. Well, let's crack on with the show. We should have given the book the full introduction.
There we go. Save it for the launch.
From a conversation to a pandemic.
To a relic.
To
going to last a lifetime.
A book hack. You just have to get it done, people. If you put your mind to it, it's incredible what you can do. And I'm going to write my next book with Emily Link, actually.
Are you?
Yeah.
That will be a great book.
I'll tell you a secret. I just used the book writing to get to know people. And I wanted to get to know Steve and Emma better. And I thought I could lure them in with the idea. I thought maybe I could become friends if we write a book together. In fact, that's what we were talking about yesterday, wasn't it? Building networks.
Yeah.
But I think Emma and I are going to collaborate on a book, and I'm thinking about what that is now.
Anyway. For this book, we've made it through the alphabet. We've made it through A through to S today. We've got slips, setbacks, and sucking it up as our theme, our triple whammy of S's today. Jonna, how do you define a setback?
Well, what are the biggest setbacks in life? I mean, let's start off by asking what we should think about what we conceive life to be. Some of us have a very optimistic worldview, that life is supposed to be an ever-growing journey of flourishment. This is actually quite popular with kind of Californian-style Western progression mindset. So life is supposed to get better and better. And just across the plains, we can go and dig for gold. And that's the kind of American dream. In Middle Eastern cultures, there's perhaps more a view of life being about growing family and family nature and relationships and kingdoms and power. In Europe, it's very interesting in Europe, but the European mindset basically is that life won't change that much. Apparently Europe's got such a deep history of us still being neighbours with the people next door that our kind of European style mindset is that we're passing through, and there was people before us, there'll be people after us. Life will be probably pretty much the same, and maybe we won't change our circumstances that much. So I think, in many ways, what is a setback is defined by what are we expecting from our life. At the very dark end, you've got some fatalists who think that basically, nothing good's going to happen to us, really. And we just, in the end, shuffle off this mortal coil, as they say in Monty Python. And everything in between is a benefit. So, on a very philosophical level, we've got to think, what is a setback? And I guess it depends on what you were hoping for. If you had very limited expectations, then life might work out exactly how I expect.
So it depends on your belief system.
It depends on our belief system, and again, that's something we talked about earlier on. But let's be more pragmatic. I mean, there are lots of setbacks in life. When I was doing my studies, I was excited. I'm so old that I used the DSM-4 scale, but there's now DSM-5. But the psychological community, the psychologists have an actual scale of life events that we could consider setbacks, and they grade those with an impact score. Should we go through them?
Let's do it.
Okay. What do you think's top of the list, Chris?
I have no idea.
Worst setback in life, according to the psychologists.
Dying?
No. You're not going to have a psychological problem after you've died.
So it's short of dying.
Yeah.
Is it some serious injury?
No, it's actually death of a spouse.
Okay. I was close.
So that has 100% impact score on the scale. Divorce, marital separation. Next up, one of my favourites, jail term. Death of a close family member. Have friends who've been through that. Death of a child. Personal illness or injury. Getting married. Marriage. A 50% score. Probably that's one of the most challenging things we can do, isn't it? Commit ourselves to somebody else forever. It would help us all. I enjoyed that. And I would say I had a few challenging years, actually, when we got married. Getting fired at work. Soon followed after by marital reconciliation. One of the most difficult life experiences. Retirement after that. Changing the health of a family member. Pregnancy, sexual difficulties. Gaining a new family member. Business readjustment. Changing financial state. Death of a close friend. Change to work. Different line of work. Changing career. Number of arguments with spouse. If you have very frequent arguments is a difficult setback in life. Big problems with mortgages. Changing responsibilities at work. Kids leaving home. Trouble with in-laws. It goes on and on. Moving house. Moving schools. Changing church activities or some social system that you're involved in. Changing sleeping habits. Changing eating habits. Vacation is it's considered a setback. High stress events.
Stressful.
At the very bottom, minor violation of the law. Just above that, actually, Christmas approaching. These could be considered setbacks.
They're similarly stressful at times.
Yeah, stressful events. So, we have these setbacks. Yeah. And I guess in our A to Z of Human Performance book, we've got someone who's experienced huge life setbacks, both Emma and Steve. Emma, although she says in the book she would not conceive of herself as disabled, what she has gone through from waking up without the movement of your arms and legs to Paralympic gold medal. It's quite a thing. And actually, Emma doesn't consider herself disabled. And
No, she actually said in the book it took her 20 years to actually feel disabled.
Well, I met her.
It was only when she broke her wrist that she felt disabled.
So when she broke her wrist, we had a meet. She was speaking at an event we were doing, and she was coming into London, and she was slightly fearful because she actually could only wheel one wheel of her wheelchair, and I went to meet her off the train to make sure she's going to be okay, and she said, this has been really, really tough, and that's someone who's very mentally strong. So yeah,
it affected her identity. I think in that she was a successful canoeist by that point. When she was 18 and lost use of her legs, she was ready to take on the world still. And she didn't have that identity as a canoeist. But when she broke her wrist, she then couldn't do what she was known for.
Yeah.
And said in the book, she found that difficult.
Yeah, it's that piece we were saying about expectations, but I think also your identity and some of the things on here, like marriage or personal illness or losing your job or big change in career or when your kids leave home. I remember my mum crying for days when my sister left home. Didn't cry a tear when I left home, but this change of where you are in your life can be really difficult. And then we've got other things that can affect us, like changing social activities. And if we're going through this at the moment, I'm a huge setback. Things that we do not on our plate.
Well, and what can we do about these things? That was a long list, some of which is perhaps more predictable than others. What can we do to make sure our performance is maintained through those setbacks?
Well, we in our writing of the book, we discussed what is it that people who perform at a high level do, and I want to insert into that as we discussed, I think in the resilience session, not everybody's in a place where they're able to act as someone who has a high level of performance. So sometimes we're actually depleted, or we've got mental health problems, or we've got other things that we can't be at that level. But the high performers exercise very, very clear mental hygiene, and they're very careful about how they speak and how they think about what happens to them and around them. So I'm going to distinguish between to us and around us. Let's say some of the challenges we faced in the pandemic, businesses closing down, is that something that's happened to us, or is that something that is happening around us? Like, one is it's coming into me, and one is it's happening around me, but it is not me. And I think the sports psychologists and the people that work at a high, want to get the best out of themselves, are very, very diligent about how they think about what's happening to them and what's happening around them. George Orwell, famous, did you do Animal Farm at school?
No, I didn't actually.
One of the greatest thinkers of all time. He said, if people cannot write well, they cannot think well. And if they cannot think well, others will do their thinking for them. So what he's trying to say there is the importance of language in how we think and how we therefore conceive of our situation. And in my studies, again, like I studied linguistics as part of my psychology background, there's a school of thought that says we can't really think without language, and therefore the language we use and our thoughts exist together, and therefore how we speak or how we talk about things affects how we think. And obviously in the whole system, that affects how we feel as well. So whether it's the coaching world, resilience, trauma, I think it's a big area to be careful about how we speak and how we think and what we allow into our mind and into our conception.
Yeah, so our language is helping us to either dwell on a setback or move through it, in terms of whether we think it's something that's going on externally or something that's about us.
Yeah. So, I mean, a healthy mindset is to have a very clear and accurate picture of what is externalized, what we can externalize, and what we should take ownership for. So, we've talked a lot about ownership. I can't own the pandemic because it's not something I've caused. That's something external that is happening to me, or that is happening around me. I can choose also whether I let that in. I could use my imagination and say, do you know what? I'm just going to pretend I'm on holiday at home. I could say, I've spent an hour in my house before and enjoyed it. And I've spent 2 hours in my house before and enjoyed it. If I can spend 1 hour in my house and enjoy it, and 2 hours in my house and enjoy it, did I ever spend 24 hours in my house and enjoy it? Yes, I did. Okay, I could spend 24 hours. If I can spend 24 hours, can I spend 48 hours? Well, yeah. If I can enjoy 48 hours, could I enjoy a week? What would I do if I had to enjoy a week? Well, I do this. Okay, what if I had to do a month? So there's kind of mental skills that we can use. The same in sales. If you want to be a high performer and you lose a deal, do you say, do you internalize it and say, I've lost this deal, and you question your competence perhaps? Or do you say, there's buyers and sellers out there, and there's people who are going to buy our services and there's people who are not. I just need to meet more of those people. And again, the kind of optimistic mindset will look for what they can control. Okay, I need to meet more people. If I keep meeting enough people, then I'll meet people who want to buy. And if I keep on going, eventually I'll reach my target. It's actually something that's in my control, hard work. So kind of a lot of good, clear thinking that we can do to help ourselves to the extent that we can when we face setbacks.
So if we've got the right mindset, then we'll actually focus on what we can control and view that setback in the right light, because it might not be about us at all.
Mindset's massive. And I mean, I was actually just speaking to someone on the phone, trying to focus on what we're positive about, what we can be positive about, grateful for. I keep saying this to people when they're saying, how challenging things are. Things are extremely challenging. Thank God for Wi-Fi. Like, we've got these small mercies. We've got Netflix. I mean, some of us.
We're not in the age of letter writing.
Yeah, I mean, imagine
a win.
If this was pre-social media, pre-email. So, we're thinking about what we can do, and we're thinking about how we're trying to choose our mindset and our thoughts, and trying to conceive of things positively. That actually has an effect on our hormones and our brain activity, and therefore the way we face setbacks, our posture to setbacks changes. And I guess the high performers are able to do what Emma has been able to do, which is to take such advantage from what has happened to her and made the most of her situation, that she has said to me, I'm happy for being in the situation I'm in. because it's prompted me to have an amazing life. And you think, wow, like I said to her, what do you think about people who complain about a virus? Because it was a virus that had. So she's like, yeah, she's not really bothered about what other people think. I don't think she'd thought about that, but you know, she's not bothered about the virus that she had. She's moved on, but yeah, a very interesting person.
What's the role then of ruminating and compartmentalization?
Well, this is I think the flip side. This is what, and again, we spoke the other day about stress, and I've been there in difficult times. But when we're in difficult times, we ruminate, and this is a kind of negative introspection, and it correlates a lot with low mood and depressive style behaviours like breaking off social contact or not engaging in physical activity. And I think 100 years ago it was kind of expected. If something bad happened, you'd expect someone to be off their game for a period of time and very sorry for themselves and low, and then to some extent they would pick themselves up and hopefully they'd come back, but sometimes they didn't, and I think that was quite accepted. Obviously some very sad times there. I think we've got a great deal more understanding now of what's going on, and we know that there's things we can do to help ourselves through those times. But the grieving process, I mean, look in nature, you see it in other animals, it's completely natural. When bad things happen, we go through a cycle of grief, and part of that is a due amount of rumination. It's if that process extends for too long or becomes inescapable, I think it's really difficult for us.
Talk about the things that you can control when you're facing setback. Is your mood one of those things?
Not always, no. And that's what's difficult, isn't it? When you get into a low mood, Steve's very good on working out what to do. He's got simple strategies for that, but movement is really helpful. If you can, sleep, talking to other people. So the kind of the resilience checklist that we did, all of those things can help you. I don't think any of them guarantee you're going to be able to move on. Surrounding yourself with the right people, if you can, is really important. But equally, I know people who have been having a difficult life phase for 10, 15 years, and part of it is that they haven't got that group of people around them who will pick them up.
Yeah, it's helpful to focus on those things that we can do something about. Sleep is obviously one of those. And then thinking about your life expectations, are we being a bit fatalist if we are expecting setbacks to come our way?
The setbacks will definitely come, won't they? I mean, they're going to.
That list we're going to hit. How many do you think you'll hit in your life?
I don't know. I'm just looking. I've got two lovely parents, but they're not going to be around forever, sadly. I hope I'm not going to go to jail, but you never know. I'm hoping my wife will leave me, but you never know. Hard to get fired at work when you're the boss. But I think, business readjustment is possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Change in health of a family member could be possible.
Between 5 and 10 of that list, yeah.
Quite a lot of things, but hopefully my kids will leave home. There's lots of things.
Christmas is coming as well.
Christmas comes every year. There's lots of things going to happen to us, aren't they? And I think the thing I find hardest as a setback is when great people leave our company. And I feel like I've invested in them and then they want to move on. And I know other people, when team members leave, it's really challenging. I was speaking to someone in coaching about that yesterday. Someone that the absolute requirement for their business is thinking of moving on. And it can be a real big setback. Last year we lost a big client. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about that on the radio, but so that was huge. A big client. It's the only time it's ever happened. Big client. Pandemic comes. 30, 40 clients we got. Let's say 40. 39 of them continue with us. One of them decides to cancel everything and becomes difficult. And we've hired people to work full time on that account. And we've got a business that's set up around delivering what they've asked us to do over 5 years, and they decide to pull everything. That was a very challenging setback. And again, I think getting the support from others is what got me through, and people who advocate for me. Even if I've got it wrong, even if I was part of the cause of them pulling back, people who care about me and will encourage me, that's what you need around you when things go wrong, people who believe in you.
Yeah. It's tied into what you said about expectations as well. You see that client, being a lasting relationship and something that builds and that you can bring your team to support, and then it falls down. It massively jars with what we thought was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, the lifetime value of that client was probably 20 million quid. So on a business level, we've overall lost the potential to make 20 million over 10 years or so. You're supposed to feel that. That's supposed to be a difficult setback.
Yeah. If you don't feel that, then there's probably something wrong with you in that moment.
Yeah. But then what was difficult about it was the adjustment. If you think about it on another level, I think, it's only money at the end of the day. That would be quite a healthy mindset to take to these things. And I mean, that's again thinking back to this language. How am I going to talk to myself about what happened here?
Yeah.
First, I'm definitely going to take responsibility for my part. I was involved in them pulling back. I was responsible for the relationships there. There are things that I didn't do. So let's own that. Let's learn what we can from that. Confess what we've done that's wrong. Get it off our chest and say, yeah, I should have handled this better, that better. But then let's use the right language and to describe it. It's a client out of 20 or 30 clients. It's just money. Let's keep it in context. It would be worse if someone close to me was ill or whatever. So, let's get that frame, that balance, which other people can help us to do.
And some of that frame for you, I know you don't particularly want to talk about religion at all, and belief systems don't have to relate to faith, but that is a big part of your belief system, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we all have a belief system, and so I think in our inner world, I mean, we could go quite deep. What's in your inner world? The sense of whether I've got beautifully on my face right now, light on one side, dark on the other. It feels like God's smiling. But yeah, I mean, I come from a religious background, a family home. That's affected my belief system as I grow up. There is a faith there, and that is a faith in the future. That the world is a good place, and someone's looking out for me. But equally, the economy is based on faith in. If you think about what the market is based on confidence. What's the value of BT shares? Well, it's not based on what it's worth today. It's based on what we think it's going to be worth tomorrow if we were to buy or sell it, which is confidence. I mean, we all talk about market confidence, but that is an act of faith, isn't it? That the market is going to be better in the future, and therefore stocks are worth holding. If we believe the market's going to be worse, then we sell the stocks and we'd rather have the cash. Yeah. So, it's challenging, and it's good to think about that whole belief system rather than just a set of beliefs. I know when I first started my business, a good mentor said to me, are you an abundance person or a scarcity person? Do you believe that there's enough resources in the world that, if you tap into them, you'll get what you need? Or do you believe that there's not quite enough resources in the world and we're all kind of living on a diet of what we need? And I'm definitely an abundance person. So, yeah, I believe that there's plenty of resources out there, and if we can tap into them, then we can, make life work.
And it's clear to see how that mentality feeds into what you do in business, your work with clients, your role as a leader.
I get it very wrong though as well, Chris, and especially when I think Em reminded me of this, when you start thinking about the outcomes you want rather than the process. If you do start the biggest mistakes I've made at work have been chasing the money or the outcome rather than thinking about how I can input to the process, relationships, doing a great job. So, yeah, I think it's similar. People chasing promotion. People often ask me how to get promoted. It's very simple. Hopefully the best person gets promoted. That's what you want, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to be the best person. And if you're the best person, that means you've got to deliver the results and be the easiest to work with and do the best inputs, be conscientious, be a good citizen, don't keep criticizing your boss, tick all the boxes. But some people think there should be a trick to how you get promoted. But in the end, it's just doing the right things.
Yeah, it is. And we've got to wrap up the show, but it's been great to talk through those setbacks. It perhaps seems a bit of a negative one, but it's all about that mindset and about controlling what you can control, so that when you do face those setbacks, then you're in the best possible position.
Yes, and thinking like in the coaching, we talk about recycling. So everything that's ever grown and lived in the world has died and been recycled. And I do think that our setbacks are like that. They should be the compost that makes our next great thing grow. And this is a cycle, isn't it? Good things happening and bad things happening. And if we can take those bad things and recycle them, then that's where new life can emerge. And it's a mindset, but I think it's also evident in the world that as some things fall to the ground, they are the fertilizer for others. I mean, just go and walk in the forest.
Yeah, it's a great analogy to end on. And join us tomorrow for Teamwork and Togetherness. We're back again, 13:30 GMT. But that's all we've got time for today. Thank you, Jonna, for joining me.
Thank you, Chris. What a show.
See you tomorrow.